We live in these crisis times, and we have to, particularly now, take actions when we don't know how the story will end. We don't know how we will come out of this pandemic. We have to act now, even though the whole picture is unclear to us. And we have to act and do the right things now, even if we might not participate in the glory that comes thereafter for having participated. Now, I was thinking of Joseph of Arimathea. Can you imagine it's Easter morning and there is this huge buzz that Jesus has arisen, and the Gospels have no further account of Joseph. He goes, can you imagine, he goes to his tomb. The day before, he and Nicodemus had buried Jesus. They'd seen the tomb sealed. They'd seen the grave clothes in which he was wrapped, because they did the wrapping. They put all the spices with him, and now he was not there. And yet none of the Gospels record anything of Joseph after he went away from the tomb on Silent Saturday. And I've really puzzled about that. I've wondered why it is that surely he must have been, well, he was a bit player. He was the footnote in the great story, and nobody really thought he'd done very much. And I think to myself, sometimes it is just like that. You're part of a team. You've worked hard at a team. And when the final program is produced and it's spread to other people, the team leader, funnily enough, just materially appears and to claim the credit. When the glory is there, when the prize giving is there, and people look back on a successful operation, a successful business, a successful activity, and you feel you've played a part as the team, but there is no recognition. There is no way in which people say, well, well done you. Oh, you feel that, and I felt that. And I wonder whether that was the reason why we don't have any record of Joseph in the resurrection story. Yes, he carried the dead hopes of Israel dead, the Messiah dead, the expectation of the future hopes dead. But that Easter, there was a new liveness. The Messiah was alive. The expectations were alive. There was a success in the air that he could not have known, because he had to act even when he didn't know the whole story. He might have thought of John's gospel when John said that Jesus claimed that in 3 days he would rebuild the temple. But that probably was not in his mind on that Saturday. So how then do we behave when we're not recognized for what we're doing? Let me give you 3 simple ways. The first is to remember why you took the action in the first place. You helped someone find food. You delivered medicine. You prepared for a meeting with a number of people because it was the right thing to do. Action had to be taken. That was good in itself. And you didn't really expect to have someone pat you on the back. The second is reject the whispers that you don't matter. Yes, Joseph was a footnote. Yes, he was a part of the small print of the story of the greatest story ever told. But 2,000 years later, his legacy is still there because I'm speaking to you about him. And then rejoice that the project in which you worked was successful, because that's what we would want to have. Maybe I don't get recognized for the part that I played, but the project was successful. And in the case of Joseph, he had been longing for the Messiah, and the Messiah was risen. And I'm sure that even though it is not recorded, that he must have said to himself, it was my tomb, it was my actions, and he must have taken the satisfaction that comes from knowing that what he did was the right thing, and secretly and quietly been pleased to see Jesus rise from the dead. And of course, by the Spirit of God, every one of the actions that we take, small as they may be, the small print as it may be, the footnotes as they may be, are remembered and seen by Jesus himself.